Well, ladies and gentlemen, it looks like it's false flag season in Washington, D.C. When all else fails, and perhaps Donald Trump didn't maybe want to go back to war with Iran in the next couple of days, maybe sometimes you got to do something to influence them, or maybe I don't know. I don't know what the plan is. Let's try to figure it out. Let's talk. Hello, Garland Nixon here, and let's see. I'm trying to find. Let me find an article here real quick. Apparently, let's see. There is apparently the White House dinner. Let's see. Let's get some updates. You ready? Here we go. Trump shooting live updates. Now, what's interesting is this. I haven't heard anything about Trump being shot. I haven't even heard that this shooter so-called was in the room with Trump, anywhere near him. I thought the guy was out in the hallway. So was this a Trump shooting? I don't know. Let's get rolling. U.S. President Donald Trump is expected to begin his press conference at the White House shortly. This comes after a shooting incident during the White House Correspondence Dinner on Saturday night. Trump shooting live updates. One officer was shot during the White House Correspondence Dinner on Saturday night. However, AP reporters report the officer was in a bullet-resistant vest during the shooting. Well, it's quite convenient. I mean, that's a good thing. The guy's got a vest. Wouldn't want him to get shot, right? The officer expected to be okay. Probably shot with a 30-06, I guess, at close range, maybe a bazooka. And he had miraculously strong bones in his neck. That's what I'm guessing. Mexico's President Claudia Sheinbaum reacted to the incident, stating that the violence was never the way, and neither is false flags. Her remarks come after Trump was evaluated. Let's see, a viral video of White House Press Secretary Carolyn Levitt has stirred online chatter ahead of the White House Correspondence Dinner shooting incident, after she urged viewers to tune in, hinting that Donald Trump would bring the heat and that there would be shots fired. Really? How is that convenient? So Carolyn Levitt comes on and she says, tune in. Trump's going to bring the heat and there will be shots fired. It's almost like she knew. Like, she's like, okay, president's going to bring the heat and there will be shots fired. She looks in the back. Shots fired. Damn it. Shots fired. Hello, you guys are paying. You don't have the shots fired. Oh, the president didn't have it. Yes, there will be shots fired. President, get out of here with Melania right there. Sit on the X right there. And we got the guy. We got the transferee Somalian Iranian guy out there yet. Get him out there. Everything's not set up. My bad. Timing was a little bit off. Okay, let's try this again. Is the president seated? Melania, everybody right. Okay. And 3, 2. President's going to bring the heat today, and there will be shots fired. Pop, 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 pop. Oh my God. There were actually shots fired. Let's evacuate the president. Meanwhile, everybody's sitting around like yawning, sitting their drinks, like, guys, shots fired. You got to scramble for your lives. Huh? Oh, that again? Crap. I didn't practice this time. What do we do? Dive under the table. Okay. And they all dive under the table. And then they look around. Hey, what's that on the floor? It's an Iranian passport. Some bitches was going to try to kill Donald Trump. I guess we'll have to attack Iran maybe tomorrow. The president wasn't planning on doing it. Hey, President Trump, yeah. In light of the recent information that we've got that clearly an Iranian operative here, who, darn it, he's dead, but I'm sure he'd say if he was alive, he'd admit to it, has tried to take you out, as we have said many times. So I guess we're going to have to attack Iran tomorrow night. Let's go for it now. We're supposed to be stupid. I'm guaranteeing this guy's an Iran operative, right? He's one of those Iran operatives that the Mossad, the same kind that they had on the ground um, during the protests in Iran. One of those kind of Iran. Yes, we've got a gentleman who is an operative, clearly for the governments of Iran. And like, here's a picture of him. He was on the ground in Iran working during the protests, and he's like got a I love Israel button on, holding up a Mossad flag, handing out brick guns, putting out pallets of bricks. It's getting old. So what we've got the weekly assassination attempt on president. That's not weekly. That's not fair. About every 3 months. About every 3 months, we get a false flag attack. I guess maybe Trump would do something. Now, his spiritual advisor will be on the way. She'll come in to sit down and spiritually advise him. President Trump, this is another sign. Oh, really? What did the sign up? God wants you to attack Iran. But I don't want to attack Iran because my presidency is ruined. We're losing the war. And I don't want to. Hey, you're going to have to talk that out with God. He has saved your life another time, and I am your spiritual advisor. Okay, do I get a check from Marion Adelson? Fair enough. But I mean, it's just she donates to the cause. She loves these Baptist churches. But here's what we're doing. We're attacking Iran tomorrow at noon. But I don't want to. Shut up. God saved your life. And let's just say that I can't guarantee that God will continue to save your life with these most unfortunate incidents, so that we can make sure that God's happy and you're safe, because I'm sure God will keep you safe if you attack Iran tomorrow. But if you don't, well, you know how God is. You don't start a war. Hey, he gets a little pissed off, and next thing you know, it's Amalek and your whole family. Melania, hey, Melania, if I were you, I'd tell him to attack Iran because, look, you're awful close to him. I'm just saying, if a boomy boom blows up and you're close by or in the car, you know what I'm saying? Talk to him tonight, Melania. The life you saved may be your own. Oh, yeah, of course. Now, let's face it. Melania may or may not be an operative herself in that, let's say, she had close ties to Jeffrey Epstein, who also had close ties to the Mossad and to Israeli intelligence. So I'm not saying that Melania is part of the operation. I'm just saying that some crazy tinfoil hat wearing conspiracy theorist would think of madness like that. Let's see. Yes. I mean, the bottom line is that Trump's PR person started the night off saying Trump will bring the heats and there will be shots fired. Do they have to be so obvious? Do you have to actually say, couldn't they just come out there and just be like, everything's going to be normal tonight. There will be no incidents. Certainly, normally, I know you would expect that. There's a presidential appearance, and most likely there would be some kind of an assassination attempt because that is the norm. We ain't doing that tonight. Tonight, we're just going to roll. He's going to say something nice and then talk, maybe crack a few jokes. You may get a little confused at times, but we're going to overlook that. And then enjoy your food. There's drinks in the back and, kind of meander around and talk to your friends. There's CIA operatives here for all of the members of the press who need to get your stories for tomorrow. Just talk to your CIA operatives. They will be handing out the documents for tomorrow's story. And let's just move along. And then they could go ahead and do the transfer Iranian operative person assassination attempt, but just not as obvious. Just pretend. Just show us a little bit of respect here. You know what I mean? Show us a little bit of respect. Just pretend as though that everything's normal. This is just another routine assassination attempt like the dozens before, every couple months. And then when you take the guy away, of course, he's going to be Iranian. Now, there is a possibility he's going to be a trans supporter of some type, trans activist. I mean, there's only 3 options, really 2, but let's go over the possible options. I'm going to throw in a third one just for effect. Option 1, he's Iranian. That's really probably option 1 through 9. Everything else starts at 10. Because remember, Trump said, if the Iranians try to kill me, they'll be held to pay. Do you remember a while back when President Obama said, if the Syrians use weapons of mass destruction, that would be the red line. And like days later, they're like, hey, what do you know? What a shock. The Syrians have used gas on their own people. And just days after President Trump said it. Who in the hell would have seen that coming? What a shock. What a surprise. What a strange and interesting coincidence. But it happened, so we got to act. And there was an investigation. They're like, wait a minute. The Syrian government took this part of Syria back. They negotiated with ISIS members, and they put the ISIS members and their families on a bus. They left the area. The Syrian government then had control of the area. The people in the area were celebrating, hooray, the Syrian government has gotten rid of the ISIS people. We're happy. And what we're supposed to believe is that after the Syrian government actually took over the place, took it back from ISIS, ISIS wasn't there. And suddenly they're like, we got our place back, our area of town back. The people love us. They're happy. Things look good. I know. Why don't we just randomly drop some gas or sarin gas or something on our people for effect? And then we saw like a bunch of people, video of a bunch of people running in a hospital, and they just like sprayed water or something on them. I mean, it was the corniest piece of false flag garbage I've ever seen in my life. But it happened just days after President Obama said, if this happens, I'll do that. And this happened. So one of the things that has happened in the past is that President Trump has been told time and again that the Iranians may try to take him out. And he said, well, if they do, they're going to get it, right? And of course, as Trump tends to do, if they try, they're going to get it. That's it for him. And now he's kind of got his back up against the wall. There are those of us who think that he probably wants to attack Iran, but you know, militarily speaking, right now the U.S. is in a difficult position. His numbers are, you know, dropping precipitously, shall we say. His entire presidency is completely destroyed, and he wants to try to save it, even though there's no kind of way to save it. So the neocons, the real, you know, ones in charge, the decision makers, are like, we're telling Trump to go back and attack, but he doesn't want to do it. What do you think? Anybody got a plan? Yeah, you in the back. I don't, this may be a long shot, but I'm just thinking, let's do another false flag assassination attack. We then send a spiritual advisor in who will tell him God saved him in order to take out Iran. If that doesn't work, we'll just literally go in and tell him, if you don't re-attack Iran, then the next assassination attempt is not going to be a false flag. It's going to be the real thing. And that's when we start, you know, nice and soft and nice, and see what he does. And then if he doesn't do what we need to do, well, then I think JD Vance will do it. I mean, you know, we got some people out there who, you know, we'll give them a Mike lapel, I'm just saying, and boom, you know, the magic spine. I'm just saying, let's do these things. And then I think we can convince him to start a war. So in light of the recent false flag, I think as it was a stretch to think that the U.S. was going to go back to war with Iran. But I think in light of this particular coincidence, because remember what was said, everybody's like, well, they're sending lots of stuff in the region and they may attack tomorrow. That's right, tomorrow. And Trump's like, well, we're looking at this, and I'm sending Witkoff and Kushner, and then Witkoff and Kushner ain't going. The Iranians are like, screw you, take a long walk on a short pier, blah, blah, blah. And then, of course, Trump seems to be reticent to go back, right? Because Trump, remember, in the last week, Trump said, we're doing a ceasefire, and the ceasefire is over. The Iranians will go like, well, this ain't working. Okay, let's go back to fighting. We got all kinds of surprises for you. We feel like we're winning anyway. Trump says, yeah, you better do it by tomorrow. You're friggin' done. The Iranians are like, okay, well, tomorrow the war starts back. And then, you know, just 24 hours before that, Trump's like, yeah, I think we're going to expand the ceasefire indefinitely. Of course, the next day he's like, nah, 3 to 5 days. Of course, you know, by Monday, it'll be indefinitely again, right? And I think Trump's trying to worm his way out of it. And the neocons are trying to say, you're going to be eaten by the worms if you don't. Images of the alleged shooter being apprehended by Secret Service have surfaced online after shots were fired during the White House Correspondence dinner. However, the identity of the person is yet to be announced. He's Iranian. He's either trans or has a trans. Well, I'll put it to you like this: check his phone. You know, there's going to be a text message on that phone that absolutely incriminates the shooter. There's going to be a text message. Yes, my name is, Joe the shooter, I am Iranian. I work directly for the mullahs. I was told to attack President Trump. I am being paid by the mullahs to do that. I don't want anybody ever to know what I'm doing. I'm going to hide this information and make sure that nobody ever finds out that I was the shooter. Now, here's how I did it. First, I obtained this weapon from, whatever. And then I came, and then there's going to be like a long, completely self-incriminating text that he sent back to the mullahs. It's going to be to the mullahs from me. Subject. This is how I did it. Like he's going to have a book out. He's going to have he's already mailed his manifesto to the New York Times, the Washington Post, the LA Times. This is how I did it at the behest of the Iranians. And this is why you should just go ahead and reattack Iran. I've been told to do it. And if I was president, I'd just reattack Iran and just go for it, blow up their infrastructure or something like that. And we're supposed to be stupid. Now, let me say this. Is it possible that this is not a false flag? Is it possible that this is really a organic attack? No, it's not. No, all jokes aside, anything's possible. Is it likely? It's so hard now. We had Butler, and then Butler happens, and then there's Eargate after Butler. And a lot of people at the time thought, hey, I think the intelligence agencies are trying to take out Trump. Perhaps in hindsight, perhaps they weren't. And then we look at the shooter who is like 22 and has virtually no footprint online like a 22-year-old would have. And then we find out the guy was in a BlackRock commercial. It's a strange coincidence that the attempted shooter of the president was in a BlackRock commercial. We ain't supposed to connect those dots. And then they tell us, no way, they couldn't put Secret Service people on the roof because the roof was too steep. And like 2 days later, there's a bunch of people there, and there's like a 70-year-old guy wandering around you could set a cup of coffee on the roof and wouldn't spill a drop, of course, especially if it was Benjamin Netanyahu's magic coffee, because that doesn't spill. You could turn it upside down. Yeah, AI coffee doesn't spill. That's the great thing about AI coffee. It tastes great and it's less filling. Anyway, so this poor bastard, the BlackRock commercial guy, was on the roof. And we were also told, if you recall, what they said was that it just so happened that the team, the security team, was in a room and there was a window there. And they were like, yeah, they left the room. And the window was the window that overlooked the roof that the shooter was on. So it was like the shooter was lying outside the window. They could have looked out the window and saw a shooter laying there. It's like right out the window. Like 20 feet away. Like they could have thrown something and hit him. They could have talked to the guy. Hey, dude. Yeah. Yes. Why are you laying on the roof with a high-powered rifle pointing at the president? No reason. They could have talked to the guy. But we found out that they addressed it. You know what they did? They left the room. So you're in a room. All the security guys, their job is to make sure the president survives. They're in a room. There's a window in that room. Outside the window, there's a roof that looks dead on to the platform where the president is. There's a guy lying on that roof, pointing gun at the president, and they left the room. And the guy was in a BlackRock commercial. And there's people on the ground. Did you see the videos? There's people on the ground, standing on the ground saying, hey, there's a freaking guy who's going around on the roof and he's got, what the hell is that? And they're like, move along here. We're doing crowd control, nothing to see here. Then we get a guy who apparently had been back and forth to Ukraine a lot. Apparently, he was working with the Ukrainians to bring people into Ukraine. And he's found on the fifth hole at Mar-a-Lago. And how did he get there with a gun, apparently waiting to shoot the president. And his name was Ryan Ruth. And they didn't cover, the media did not cover his trial. And here we go. How about we do this? Let's take a look at Ryan Ruth. Now, this is one that if this doesn't point to false flags, I don't know what does. Let's take a look real quick at the last shooter. Well, they did a great investigation. Judge Cannon reportedly sealed evidence in Trump assassination case, citing grave threat to national security. On Friday, Judge Eileen Cannon sealed the classified evidence in the Trump assassination case. The man accused of trying to kill Trump is not allowed to see it. The public cannot see it either. The United States motion, the U.S. government made a motion to hide the evidence against Ryan Ruth. The United States motion and all accompanying material are hereby sealed and shall remain preserved in custody of the classified information security officer in accordance with established court security procedures made available to the appellate court in the event of appeal. The man charged is Ryan Ruth. They got all of that stuff. It says last week, Judge Cannon ruled that Ruth can represent himself, but the public defenders must stay on standby. Now she has blocked him from seeing the classified evidence, saying it would be a grave threat to national security. Ruth was already known to federal agents before the attack. Well, I guess he was known to federal agents. They had to give him his gun. They had to train him. They had to transport him to the proper place. They had to set him up. They had to tell him to keep his mouth shut. Look, the president's coming this way. You're going to be here. They had to. Ruth was already known to federal agents before the attack. They're always known to federal agents before the attack. Do we recall that there was a guy that shot a couple of National Guardsmen right around the corner from the White House, who came from Afghanistan, where he worked with a CIA kill team. And then he came here and worked with a CIA kill team. Let's see. Oh, there we go. Ruth was already known to federal agents before the attack. He had traveled to Ukraine. He stayed there for 8 months. His social media was full of pro-Ukraine messages. He appeared in a video with Azov fighters. When he came back to the United States, he was stopped by federal officers. Sure he was, and he was armed and trained by federal officers. Subject is a USC who had traveled to Kiev, Ukraine for 3 months to help recruit soldiers from Afghanistan, Moldova, and Taiwan to fight in the Ukrainian war against Russia, the CBP interview notes. That was Border Patrol. Subject stated that he does not get paid for his recruiting efforts, and all his work for the Ukrainian government is strictly volunteer work. Subject provided his recruiting business card, which lists his recruiting partners that he speaks with to recruit soldiers from Afghanistan, Romania, Pakistan, Syria, and Israel. The note added. Subject stated that he obtains money from his wife to help fund his trips to Ukraine. What's interesting is that his wife's name was the exact same name as a woman who worked for a CIA-related company 6 miles from CIA headquarters. And when that company was asked, is that the same woman that works for you? They refused to comment. So all that was known before the attack. Weird. Why is the public shut out? Why is the man on trial not even allowed to see the files? What are they hiding, and who is she really protecting? Isn't that interesting? So the last guy who allegedly tried to kill the president was the person who was known to intelligence community, who had obviously worked with the intelligence community. Are we to believe that this guy went to Ukraine, his wife, who seemed to have intelligence community ties, paid for it, that he worked to bring in fighters from all over the world, including Israel, that Border Patrol wrote up a document on him, and he was able to just wander aimlessly around the country and end up on the 5th hole at Mar-a-Lago to kill Trump. And he was conveniently grabbed before that happened. And then, of course, all the evidence in his trial was sealed. That's how a false flag works. This subject, Lee Harvey Oswald, is going to have connections to the CIA, and they got to cover it up. This guy is going to have connections to intelligence, and they got to cover it up. The shooter in DC who had shot a couple of guardsmen, National Guards persons, had worked with the CIA in Afghanistan. Oh, do you remember the guy who shot up the gay club in Tampa, Florida? Right? You remember that? Both him and his father were FBI informants. Oh, wait a minute. Do you remember the Manchester bombing at the whatever her name is, the little kind of skinny lady? I forgot her name is that sings. But at any rate, she had a concert in Manchester, England, and there was a bunch of suicide bombers. And afterwards, it was found out that the suicide bombers had worked with MI6. They had been transported back and forth to like Syria, to Libya. So they were operatives who had worked with ISIS-style groups who then came back to the UK. And what do you know? Nobody was watching them, keeping an eye on them. They strapped themselves with bombs. They showed up at a Manchester concert and they blew up. Why is it that these people always have long-term connections to the intelligence community, or they're in a BlackRock commercial? Why is that when you trace their lineage, it always comes back to CIA. It always comes back to Langley, Virginia or somewhere. So now, once again, we got an instance where we got to find out who this guy is. Now, I can tell you right now that they're probably scrubbing Google because his name was searched from Tel Aviv within a week. Within a week, this guy's name was searched repeatedly from Tel Aviv. It was searched from Washington, D.C., from Langley, Virginia. That's why they won't release his name, because they're going on the internet to scrub everything, anything related to him, or maybe create fake accounts. Hi, my name is Iranian Joe, and I just want to post that I don't like Trump, and I'm a trans furry quick change artist, and I don't know, I'm being programmed by the moon. It's pathetic. This is getting old. It's getting to the point where when you hear the false flag attempt on Trump's life, we already know what it is, and Trump probably knows. You know, I was reading this thing where this guy Ryan White, or whatever his name was saying, yes, I was there and I heard the shots, and I'm like, wow, I'm near the shooter, and I didn't even hit the ground. I just watched. I didn't even try to duck. Of course not. It's blanks. You know, what are you going to get hit with? A blank? You're going to hear a pop. Hey, there's the shooter. Pop, 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 pop. Hey, shooter. Hey, hold on. Wait a minute. Runs over next to the shooter. Let me get a selfie. Click, 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 click. Thanks a lot. Sorry, pal. I think if I understand the way things work, you ain't going to make it. But hey, I'm not really afraid because you got a gun full of blanks. I don't know if they told you there's nothing. There blanks in there. Yeah. Oh man. Yeah. No, running for it ain't going to help. The cast is die. You know, the die is cast, dude. Your part of this thing is to die. Have a nice life. It's short. It's going to be short. That's where we are. That's where we are. What do you want to bet? How do we know this is going to be Iranian? Let me check foxnews.com. I will guarantee that if I look at foxnews.com, Fox News, guarantee they're already doing it. Suspect in custody. Suspect charges security checkpoint at White House dinner. Oh, he charged a security checkpoint. And they got pictures of people shooting. Trump shares photo of suspect in White House Correspondence dinner. Oh, let's see what we got. So Trump says, let's see, suspect charges security checkpoint. Let's see what we got. Oh, there. All right, what else do we got? Trump shares photos of suspect. What do you know? Vice President J.D. Vance, First Lady, and other top officials were evacuated from the head table in the ballroom, Hilton Hotel, the annual event after the apparent gunshots were heard at the venue Saturday night. What do we got? He delivered a statement. A man charged a security checkpoint armed with multiple weapons, praising Secret Service. Trump was rushed from the Washington Hilton after shots were reported near the screening area. The shooter was taken down, said one officer was shot at close range, but saved by a bulletproof vest. And the fact that he was shot by a blank probably helped too. I just spoke to the officer. He's in great shape. That's what happens. His ears are a little ringing from the sound of that blank. But other than that, he's in great shape. Added to the surreal scene, many members of the press in the briefing room arrived directly from the Hilton and were still dressed in black tie attire for the president's remarks. Trump posted photos and video of the suspect on Truth Social to accompany his remarks. Acting AG says charges coming soon after shooting. Todd Blanche, the guy who just told us that there's nothing to see here. Todd Blanche is the guy who just said, I ain't prosecuting the Epstein thing. So he's acting attorney general. The investigation is ongoing. I expect you will see charges filed shortly. Oh, darn, the guy committed suicide. We got him in. I thought he was dead, but it appears he's taken. Oh, darn. The guy probably is going to hang himself, I'm thinking, maybe, or return to Tel Aviv with a fake. Anyway, the charges should be self-evident given the conduct, but you'll hear there will be multiple charges surrounding the shooting, around the possession of firearms, and anything else that we can get on this guy. So there you go. Anything else? That's all I see. Suspect in custody. No, that's about it. It looks like that's where we are. I'm going to check online and see if we see anything. I don't see. Shooter is dead. No, he's not, apparently. There was all this stuff to see. Oh, it's Erica Kirk was seen running through the backstage at the White House Correspondence Dinner in tears, saying, I just want to go home. Gee, Erica Kirk was there. Isn't that interesting? She seems to show up a lot of places where there's shootings, mysterious shootings. She's there. In fact, I don't know. I'm not saying she was involved, but let's see. So Erica Kirk was seen running through backstage at the White House Correspondence Association dinner in tears, saying, I just want to go home. The amount this poor woman has endured these past 7 months is horrible. Oh, wait a minute. Isn't that how Erica Kirk does it? You know, poor President Trump. He was so good and I loved him. Hey, how's things going with merch? We selling merch? All right. Hey, I want to congratulate everybody. We're selling merch. All right. Go merch. Man, $100,000 last week. Woo, sweet. Oh, wait a minute. Hold on a second. Let me finish this press conference. Oh, God. Oh, God. The president, was he trying to kill it? You got to laugh. Let's see. The amount this poor woman has endured these past 7 months is horrible. I'm sure this just brought all those emotions right back. Pray for her. Like, let's get together. Nothing's right here. I'm reading online. Pray for her. President Trump says tonight's shooting at the White House Correspondence Dinner. Now, listen to this. You got to love Trump. Is a clear example of why we need a new ballroom for the White House. Absolutely. I got to say this. That was my first thought. Really, when this happened, it was like, what's happening? Hey, White House Correspondence Dinner, shooting. Somebody's down. The president's running for his life. People scattering like roaches when the light comes on in all directions. Garland, let's hear it. You know, I think that justifies a new ballroom and probably an attack on Iran and 3 or 4 other countries. But definitely, the first thing we got to do is a ballroom. The president, hey, president. We had another false flag attack on you. We think it was a Somalian Iranian trans activist. What do you got to say about that? A new ballroom, maybe? Of course, what else would you say if you're Trump? Let's see. Laura Loomer, 1 hour. Trans Democrat, Groiper, Muslim, Iranian, which one? See, you got to love Laura Loomer. She is literally, this is what Laura Loomer has tweeted. Trans Democrat, Groiper, Muslim, Iranian, which one? Laura, you already know which one. All of the above. And now, here's what happened. Laura Loomer's tweet, right? It was an accident. What she was actually tweeting, she didn't mean to tweet that. That was a text to somebody in the White House. Actually, it was a text to Benjamin Netanyahu's assistant, because I'm not sure he's alive. But it was a tweet to Israel, to her Mossad handler. Hey, I'm working on this thing. I'm on you guys' side. I need to get out. I need to know what I'm working on here. I need to know what we're going with here. right? Trans, Democrat, Gorper, Muslim, Iranian, which one? And she thought that she was texting them. And really, she put that out as a tweet. And now she's got to pretend like she really tweeted that. Let's see how did people, let's see, what did people say about that? I'd say Israel makes sense. Let's see. How about Israel, Mossad, false flag? Let's see. There we go. This person says, I have every confidence it'll be whatever his propagandas need the shooter to be based on whatever bullcrap is trending or whatever your AI chat bot tells you will get the most clicks. Oh, it's funny. It looks like the new talking points come out. They also have a guy, somebody else who says, all right, who did it? And he's got a whatchamacallit, he's got a poll and it says transgender Muslim gripper commie, right? I forgot commie. Let's see. And listen to what somebody says. Could be either of these. One, Israel, Mossad, most likely to blame Iran. 2, staged and premeditated. 3, CIA, FBI hoax, right? The other person puts disgruntled former Trump supporter who is pissed about being lied to. That's my bet. Now I'm going to say that is possible. Oh, I love this. This person has this. The Trump marketing machine always rolls out an assassination attempt before elections. Let's see. So there we go. So that's what we got. We've got people, Americans, who are hip to this. I think most people are going to look at this with, shall we say, a jaundiced eye. Most people are going to look at this and say, again, so because let's think about it. Okay, we had the BlackRock advertisement guy, right? He was the Butler shooter. Then we had, I heard there was other attempts. We had the guy who was on Ryan Ruth, who at some point the government hid his evidence and said it would be a grave threat to national security if we knew this guy's background and saw the evidence against him. Then, of course, there was old Charlie Kirk and Erica, who was a very interesting, a trans furry activist who had the most stupid and incriminating text that I've ever seen in my life. Let's see, the guy's Tyler Robinson text message. If anybody, read the text message. There we go. Let's read this text message. He writes, he says, I'm okay, but I'm stuck in Orem for a little while. Shouldn't be long until I can come home. I got to grab my rifle still. To be honest, I'd hope to keep this secret till I died of old age. The guy writes an article. Hey, I'd hope to keep this secret. You weren't the one who did it. I am. Hey, I'd hope to keep this secret till my old age. What? I'm the guy that did it. Well, you didn't keep it secret for 10 seconds. I thought they caught the person. No, they grabbed some crazy old dude, then interrogated someone in similar clothing. I planned to grab my rifle from my drop point shortly after, but most of that side of town got locked down. It's quiet, almost enough to get out. But there's one vehicle lingering. Don't you love that? There's a vehicle. Now, I plan on keeping this to my old age. I never want anybody to find out. Keeping this forever. Don't ever tell anybody. Now, let me tell you in detail everything that I did. Why? Why did I do it? Yeah. I had enough of his hatred. Some hatred can't be negotiated out. If I'm able to grab my rifle unseen, I will have left no evidence. Going to attempt to retrieve it again. Hopefully they have moved on. I haven't seen anything about them finding it. How long have you been planning this? Which is exactly what you'd ask, right? Hey, Darling, you committed an evil deed. Yeah, so tell me, how long have you been planning this? Well, since we know the government will never get their hands on this text message, why don't we just put it all on the line here? A bit over a week, I believe. I can get close to it, but there's a squad car parked right next to it, because when you're like 20 some years old, you refer to them as a squad car, because I don't think anybody's used that term since the 70s. This was the guy that killed Charlie Kirk with a magic bullet. He said squad car. I think they already swept that spot, but I don't want to chance it. I'm wishing I had circled back and grabbed it as soon as I got to my vehicle. I'm worried what my old man would do if I didn't bring back Grandpa's rifle. You just laid on a roof and shot a man dead in broad daylight, and you're afraid that you're going to get in trouble for leaving the house with Grandpa's rifle. Why does that not sound like a plausible thought to me? Hey, what'd you do? I just murdered 20 people. But I'm really afraid because I double parked outside while I was killing them. And if the cops find that, they put a Denver boot on my car. For God's sake, man, I'm in deep and serious trouble. Ignore the felonious act that could get you literally the chair, and you're worried that you'll be in trouble because you left with Grandpa's rifle. That's how much sense that made. I don't know if it had a serial number, but it wouldn't trace to me. How many 20-year-olds know legally how serial numbers on guns are traced and what that means, and even if they have serial numbers? I worry about prints. I had to leave it in a bush where I changed outfits. Didn't have the ability or time to bring it with. I might have to abandon it and hope they don't find prints. How the crap will I explain losing it to my old man? You just shot a friggin' guy, and your biggest problem is that your father is going to find out that you left the house with a grandpa's gun. That's your biggest fear. Oh, by the way, didn't you start there off by saying you wanted to take this to the grave? Yes, I'm taking this to the grave right now. Before I do this, don't ever tell anybody. Keep this, because we know certainly that there's no way the government could ever get their hands on the information from my text messages. But let me give this in detail. I want to tell you when I started planning it, how I did it, how I hid the gun, what happened when I went back to get the gun, the reason I didn't get the gun, what kind of gun it is, what I think about the serial number, how I play, all of that I want to tell you, because I want to take this to my grave and I don't want anybody to find out. That is the last killer. Either they're writing a text message, which clearly they didn't write, explaining everything they did, or the government, for Ryan Ruth, is taking the information and literally saying it would be a grave threat to national security if we found out the background of Ryan Ruth. And of course, as many people know now, it has now been determined that this weapon, unless it was altered, based on the kind of scope that was used, it would block the safety so the gun wouldn't fire. But it doesn't matter, because if anybody believes that a human being like me got hit in the neck by a 30-06, and that hit my spine and didn't take my head off and everything else behind me for the next 20 yards, tear to shreds, it wouldn't even slow it up. It can go through an eighth of an inch of steel, but it couldn't go through my spine. So if anybody believes the Charlie Kirk story, they probably also believe the transferry shooter story and the Ryan Ruth story. And clearly, this was just another attack on Donald Trump by some, once again. Now, think about this. Here's something that doesn't make sense about this. Here's something that makes no sense at all to me about this so-called shooting. Okay, let's think about this. I'm going to put on my investigator's cap because I was an investigator, because I was a commander of the investigations division of a major police department. Let me put on my investigator's cap for a second. What actually happened tonight? What we're told, and they have video of it, what we're told is a guy who was armed charged a security checkpoint, right? There were several people at the security checkpoint. He apparently fired at the people. He hit one guy in the chest. The guy had on a bulletproof vest. So the guy fired. Apparently, people returned fire. Perhaps this guy was hit. I don't know. Maybe not. There was a picture of him that President Trump released, but I didn't see any blood. Um, so the guy charged a security checkpoint. This is what he did. In order to get into the White House Correspondence Dinner, they have security checkpoints, right? This guy apparently charged one and opened fire. Fire was returned. He was apprehended. Let me ask you this. Was that an attack on President Trump's life? Do we think that a single person, is it reasonable to say a single person charging a security checkpoint would really think they would get by? You're one shooter and there's several other shooters there. And apparently he comes in like the Matrix with a number of guns and just opens up on a security checkpoint. So that's what happened, actually. Did he try to kill the president? Did he take a shot at the president? Was he anywhere near the president? No. He opened fire, and those security checkpoints are on the outer limits of the entrance. When you first get to the entrance, the outer limits, there's going to be security checkpoints before you get it. So there was a lot more elements of security that he would have to get through to get to the president. And clearly, as soon as he opened fire and somebody heard shots, everything was going to go to crap, right? And the president was going to be ushered out. So the issue being, I can't say that a person who opened fire on a security checkpoint, do we know that he was trying to kill the president? Do we know that there wasn't somebody else that he was trying to kill? Do we know that he wasn't just trying to do a general, I don't know, shooting where he went in there and shot as many people as he could have shot? Do we know that this guy could have hated the press and he wanted to kill members of the press, go out in a blaze of glory? It is interesting that a man attacks an outer security checkpoint, and it has been interpreted as an attempt on the president's life. At this point, there is no indication. I'll put it to you like this. The president of the bank is all the way in the back in his office. Somebody comes in the bank and gets in a shootout with the bank guards, right? Can we say, hey, he was coming there to kill the bank president? How do we know that? Can we say that was an attempt on the bank president's life? No, it wasn't. It was an attempt to enter the bank, and there was the shootout with the bank guards. That's all we know. What he was going to do when he entered the bank? Maybe he was going to rob the bank. Maybe there was somebody else that he was there to kill. Maybe he was just going to a random shooter that was going to do a mass shooting. We don't know. Maybe this guy was coming as a mass shooter. Maybe whatever the case may be. Why has it been interpreted as an attack on the president? They called it presidential shooting. Let's see what Fox News has again. How do they have it? Listen to MSA. Trump shooting live. Trump shooting live. The guy wasn't in the room with Trump. He didn't shoot at Trump. Apparently, he shot in a room that Trump wasn't in before you get to Trump. There was thousands of people there, most likely. Maybe 1,000, hundreds. I don't know. There was a lot of people there. Could it have been an attempt to kill other people, many people? Could it have been an attempted mass shooting? Could it have been a false flag, dare we say? I don't know. But the thought that you can take, here's what you can say for sure at this point. A man, an armed assailant, charged. This is the way I would put it. Garland Nixon, you're in charge of releasing this statement, right? Mr. Nixon, what happened? Hi, Garland Nixon, spokesman for the president. Thank you. Tonight, a suspect at and I give the time. Tonight at approximately 9:04 Eastern Standard Time, an assailant entered the, whatever the name of the hotel is, the Hilton Hotel from the 11th Street entrance. He approached the security checkpoint, at which time he produced several weapons. He began firing at personnel at the security checkpoint. The personnel at the security checkpoint returned fire against the suspect. The suspect was hit, 1-2 times, whatever. One of the officers was struck in the chest with a round. Fortunately, he had on a bulletproof vest, and he survived with very few injuries. The suspect has been taken into custody at this time, and FBI is investigating. At this time, we don't have any information on the suspect, but we will update you in the future as soon as we get more information. That's it. What happened? The president was not in the room at the time. He was not harmed in any way. For safety reasons, obviously, the president and his immediate inner circle, his wife and other members of the administration, were immediately evacuated to a safe location until such time as we were able to determine that the area was safe and that there were no other threats. That's it. Well, was it an attempt on the president's life? At this time, that's what they're going to say. Oh, me, well, yeah, you are Joe Schleppenfield in the back. Yes, Joe Schleppenfield, AP. Spokesman Nixon, was there any attempt on the president's life? At this time, the information that we have is that a suspect did approach a security checkpoint on the 11th Street entrance, at which time he produced several weapons. At this time, we do have information that it was, I'll say whatever, had a shotgun and some type of a handgun. He began firing on the officers that were manning that checkpoint. They did return fire. The suspect is alive at this time. He has been apprehended, and there's ongoing investigations, particularly to ensure that there are no other threats in the area. And I will update you when we have more information. That's it. That's what I'm saying. A suspect opened fire on a security checkpoint. Nobody shot at the president. Nobody got in the room where the president was. There was no attempt on the president's life. But the narrative in the mainstream media, for some reason, would cause one to believe that there was an attempt on the president's life. The narrative doesn't match the reality of what happened. It doesn't match. What happened? A security checkpoint was attacked. What we're told, the president, there was an attempt on the president's life. I haven't seen it. Let's continue to look until we'll potentially find that out. But we're told there's an attempt. There was no attempt on the president's life. So how false a flag is that? When the shooter attacks a security checkpoint, he never gets down the hallway to go towards the room the president's in. He never gets into the room the president's in. He's taken down. He doesn't get past the security checkpoint. And we're told that there was an attempt on the president's life. False flag, clearly. If nothing else, the narrative is a false flag. But let's see. I'll put it like this. If they go back to war starting tomorrow, within 24 hours, don't be overly shocked. I still don't think they can right now, in my opinion. But I think perhaps an influence operation's going on. I don't know. Or perhaps it's just a false narrative, false flag. Because it wasn't close enough. They'd had to take a couple pock shots at Trump, at least to scare him up. This way, they didn't really know nothing happened. We've just got a narrative now. Anyway, thanks a lot, everybody. Clearly, it seems to me that every reasonable person can see through this crap. Let's look through and see if there's any super chats. If there are any super chats, I would like to answer them. It looks like we have some super chats. And we're going to look at them because this is a special occasion. This is a false flag. Whenever we have a false flag, we got to look at the let's go here. AI says that Trump only attended Correspondence dinner in 2011, 2015, not one time in his first term, but now he decides to go. Yes, and Carolyn Levitt says there'll be shots fired. Maybe she knew something that we didn't know. Let's continue. Shots were fired. Perhaps she could have spoken a little differently. Let's see what we got here. Oh, thank you for the super sticker. Very much. We got any more? Do we have any more? Oh, let's go here. Levitt, who is preparing to go on maternity leave, said there will be some shots fired tonight. Oh, of course she said that because she knew there was going to be shots fired. That was an announcement. How about we go with a super sticker? Thank you very much. Certainly appreciate that. Anything else? I think that's it. All right. Thanks a lot, everybody. Appreciate you guys hanging out with me tonight. It's False Flag Saturday, which is just like False Flag Friday, only falser. Look, there's a P.O. box for those who want to do snail mail. If you want to mail a letter or, God forbid, send a donation. Oh, who does we got here? Old Sparkster, maybe Sparky. Thanks. Thanks to my Patreon, Buy Me a Coffee people, and PayPal and all that. Anybody who can afford to help the channel, it's highly appreciated, and keep the channel going. Even if you can't, that's fine. Enjoy it, share it. Everybody, make sure you share all of this stuff on all your social media platforms. Keep your eye out for false flags. I'm out.